Welcome to Anchors of Key West. We're sitting on our 2007 48 Sea Ray Sundancer. Today, we're going to walk you through our monthly maintenance. We don't use the boat a lot. We use the tender more than we use this boat. So every month, we do engine running, generator running. We check our electronics, check the bow thruster. We clean out the drains. It is gnat season down here in Key West, so we want to keep the drains clean. We want to clean out the sump. We're just going to do a general monthly maintenance, and we're going to take you along with us. Stay tuned. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean out all our drains. From Home Depot, we buy the 30% vinegar. We're going to pour it down all the drains. We're going to do the shower drains. We're going to do all the sink drains. And what that's going to wind up doing is going to wind up in the sump. We're going to let that sit in there for a while. So when you're ready to do your drains, make sure you're not using the sinks and so on and so forth, because we're going to have to let that sit in there, get all the schmeg out, and that's going to dump it all into the sump. And then we're going to take the sump and then we're going to vacuum out the sump. So first thing we're going to do before we do anything else is we're going to pour down the vinegar down the drains. You're going to watch us do that. And then we're going to leave the boat just as it is. Okay, like I said, it's a 2007 48 Sundancer, and your shower sump and your sink sumps are located right underneath this hatch. There is your shower sump. Now, all your drains, obviously your heads don't drain down there, but all your drains go into this sump right here. Now, we retrofitted this. Originally, it only comes with a float switch and a single bilge pump in there. So we actually redesigned this entire sump, and we actually have two bilge pumps in here. We've had some failures on these. Are the non we don't have a float switch. They're automatic float switches. So when the water comes up, it kicks them on. Now, we've had some trouble with these bilge pumps, whereas the float switches don't come on. So that's why we added the second one in there, so we didn't have overflows. But we redid all the wiring. We put on quick disconnects to the wiring and so on, so we can change out the bilge pumps pretty much on the fly. But so now that we've got all our drains and our vinegar down all the drains, we're going to let this sit for a little while, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Just let that vinegar just eat through all the schmeg that's in all the drains and so on. Now it's time to go upstairs. We're going to uncover the helm. We're going to get all our electronics on, and then we're going to start running engines and generator, and let's go to it. Okay, so now that we have everything uncovered, we're going to start turning everything on. We're going to turn all our engine screen on. We're going to turn our stereo on. We're going to turn autopilot on. We're going to turn on all our electronics here. One of the things that we use from time to time up here when we're just sitting out here is the air conditioning. We're going to put the air conditioning on, just let that run for a little while. Just get a little salt water going through that air conditioning. It's very important. You need to check on your bow thruster from time to time. You've got two batteries and a battery charger that run the bow thruster. Those need to stay charged, so you got to make sure that those are charged. You go out and those batteries are dead, and you need to use the bow thruster while you're backing into a slip. The batteries aren't working or the battery charger is not working, then you have no bow thruster. So we're going to let everything fire up here, and then we're going to go head downstairs, and we're going to start turning everything on in the panel, and we'll take you with us down there. Okay, let's head downstairs. Let's get everything turned on so we can start running engines and generator. Follow me to the panel. Okay, we're here at the panel. This is where all our controls are. So first thing we want to do is turn our engine switches on. Okay, turn our keys on our engines. If these are in the off position, we cannot start the engines from up top. If they're in the on position, now we can start the engines. Our battery solenoids are all green, which means our batteries are all on. We can check our voltage. Voltage is good in both batteries. We can turn our bilge blowers on because we're going to start running engines. And then this is our generator control right here. So the first thing, we're going to start our generator. We turn our switch on, green light. Okay. We wait a couple seconds, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hit the button, the run button right here, and we're going to hold it. So we are going to hold it on. You're going to start seeing it flash orange. You're going to wait. You're going to hear the generator start, and then you're going to see the green light come on. Do not let this switch go until that green light comes on. Okay, generator just started. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. Green light on, let go. Our generator started. Now, we're not going to transfer from shore power to generator until this heats up a little bit. So we're going to let this run here for 5 minutes or so before we shut everything down on the shore power side and then switch us over to generator side. Now we're going to run up, go into the engine room first. We're going to go down the engine room. We're going to check underneath the engines, make sure we don't have any fluids, water leaks, make sure our seacocks are open before we start any engines. So follow us. We're going to the engine room. Okay, remember, this is a 2007 48 Sundancer. We actually happen to have carpet down on the floors, but we lift up the carpet, and here is our engine access lock right here. We open it up, and there's our engines right there. Okay, twin Cummins inline 6 cylinders, 8.3 QSC engines, 540 horsepower each. Before we start the engines, we're going to come down in here, and we're going to take a look around and make sure we don't have any leaks of any fluid. Make sure that everything's okay before we start anything. This way we can avoid having any issues or problems. Okay, let's do a little engine room tour while we're out here. Okay, so right now you can hear our generator running. Right in front of the generator there, that's the power module for the lift. That's a hydraulic pump right there that makes the lift go up and down. Back in there, our exhaust and our rudder ports back there. We have our water heater right there. Other rudder port. There's our battery charger for our bow thruster and our bow thruster batteries right there. Down below is our waste tank. And right here, we're going to inspect these right here. These are our strainers and our seacocks for our generator and our main engines. We got the port main engine over here. The fuel tank is behind it. We have our toolbox and our house and start batteries are right there below it. And then this is our starboard engine over here. You can also see the fuel tank behind it. Now, one of the things that I will tell you that needs to be done on any boat, no matter what boat you have, is to keep your bilge, A, dry, and B, clean. If you take a look at the bottom, we haven't touched this. The bilge is dry there. We go and take a look under the engines. Everything is dry under the engines, no fluids. We take a look at the under engine, and again, no fluids and it's dry. We take a look at our ray cores. The fuel in our ray core is nice and clean. We take a look at our generator ray core, also clean. We take a look at our ray core for our starboard engine, and as well, clean. Cannot stress more. You need to keep the engine rooms clean. If you notice, our strainers are nice and brassy. Not a lot of green corrosion on them. One thing we do in every month, which is part of our maintenance, is we come down and we make sure that our seacocks are loose. The best way to keep the seacocks loose is just go and get a piece of PVC. This happens to be, looks like 1-inch PVC. You'll get a piece of PVC pipe, probably about 2 feet long, and you just make sure that you can open and close the seacocks. That's very important. If you're out and something breaks, or a water line breaks, or an exhaust line breaks, and you can't close your seacocks, then you're going to have to be flooding the boat. Right there, you can see the water flowing right now for the generator, which is running, which we started already, and we showed you how to start that already. So now that we did our inspection down here, now we can go ahead and feel comfortable starting our engines, and then we'll let them run for quite some time. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test the bow thruster. We got to make sure the bow thruster batteries are working fine and everything's working in bow thruster in case we take the boat out and we need to come into a slip and we need the bow thruster. So we already put the bow thruster switch on. Now we're going to actually turn the bow thruster on, which is hitting this once. It's going to beep, and then it's going to solid beep. Okay, our bow thruster's on. So we're going to test our bow thruster right now. We're going to go to the left. We're going to go to the right. Okay, important to do this too after your diver comes and cleans the bottom of your boat, because you can only reach into that bow thruster so far. So if we use the bow thruster a little bit while we're at the dock, what we're doing is blowing all the barnacles and all the any growth that's in on the bow thruster blades or in the tunnel, that's getting blown out. So we do this for a minute or two, just back and forth a little bit, and then we will be good to go. One more time to the right, and we're done. Okay, so we're going to turn the bow thruster off now. On the control, we just hit the power strip, goes off, and then we turn the battery switch off. Bow thruster is now disabled. One of the important things we need to also check is the radar. Make sure that the dome is working on the top. The domes sit out in the sun. They get beat up all the time. We want to just make sure that the dome is functioning and that the radar is going to give us returns. So we're just going to go into transmit right here, and we're going to watch and wait for the returns to come up. And there they are. Okay? And just make sure that we don't have any errors that come back onto the radar. Now, in 2007, this boat was delivered with a Mercury vessel view. We have since changed out the Mercury vessel view to the Simrad. It's a little bit clearer, doesn't get sun damage like the vessel view does. It's totally customizable to the fields that you want. This is with the engines switched off. Once we switch the engines on, we'll come back to this display and you'll be able to see what's going on the display. Okay, so if you notice right now, the gauges are all set down into the 0 positions and the default positions. So we're going to turn on both of our engine switches. Port first, just click one position forward, and then starboard, click one position forward. Okay, now we have our switches on, and you'll see that both of them are going to light up, and we're going to see the fuel, we're going to see our voltage, and they're going to come on. Then what we're going to see over here is we're going to see the display start functioning and show us what's going on, the temperatures, the oil pressure, and the batteries, the voltage on the batteries. Once we get everything comes alive, this display and our manual gauges, our analog gauges, then we can start the engine. So right now we're going to start port engine first, and then start the starboard engine. Now, once we start the engines, the most important thing we need to take a look at is that we make sure that we have water flow coming out both sides of the boat. So we got on the port side, we're good. Starboard side, we're good as well. Now, if we take a look at our Simrad, you'll see we've got our fuel consumption, we've got our RPMs on there, we've got our coolant temperature, oil pressure, our battery charge. It shows you how many gallons of fuel we've got in there, the hours on the boat. This is our brains right here, and this is all the information that we really need to know. We have our load on the port and load on the starboard, but obviously we're not going to get that unless we actually take the boat out and start running the boat. But the nice thing about this Simrad is it's touchscreen. It really works very, very, very well. It gives us all the information we want, fully customizable. We do actually love that. So now, while we've got the engines running, the generator running, we're going to let the engines warm up. Right now, we've only got a coolant temperature of 100, so we're going to let them get to temperature before we start doing anything more up here. We're going to go downstairs and we're going to start rinsing down all the vinegar that we have in here. I know this is monotonous, and I know this is not, exciting to watch us pour vinegar down drains, but this is all part of the monthly maintenance. And we have a lot of people that come on and off this boat. Remember, this boat is a 2007, so it's got some age on it. So people go downstairs and go, hey, your boat doesn't smell like old boat. Well, we're telling you how to get rid of that old boat smell, that head smell, that sump smell. It's gross when it smells like that, but we're going to try to hopefully help you get rid of those smells. So let's go back downstairs and let's go get rid of all that vinegar at this point in time. Okay, so now that we have all the vinegar that's been sitting in here probably for about a half an hour, got the engines running, they're warming up, generators running up there. Before we do anything, we got to let everything warm up. So right now, let's turn our sinks on. Okay, let's turn all our sinks on. Back sink on. We're going to flush the toilet down here a couple times. Just let it get a little bit of water in there. Okay, that one's done. We're going to shut the lights off in here. We're going to let this run for a few minutes. We're going to let this one run. We're going to come up here and we're going to go into the master. We'll turn the sink on in here. We hear the sump running right now as it is. Flush the toilet in here. We're going to put a little bit of water down into the tank. Okay, we got that one running there. And the last one that we're going to turn on, you're going to see the door, then we'll see that. And we're going to turn the shower on. Shower on real quick. Water pressure is not going to be so great because we've got everything running. So we're just going to let that run for a couple minutes, and then we will slowly start and turn off the water. I say a couple minutes, but really you only need to do it for a minute, maybe 45 seconds, because all we're doing is just pushing the vinegar out, pushing it into the sump. So we'll start with this one. We'll turn this off. We should be good to go on that. We'll turn this one off here. Okay. Then we'll turn the front one off. And then by the time we get to that, we get the shower. Everything's been drained out. It's okay to have a little bit of vinegar sitting there. You might get a little bit of a vinegar smell in the boat. Not the worst smell in the world, but at least you don't have a sump smell. So you stay right there. I'm going to turn this one off real quick. All right, now that we have everything warmed up, engines are warmed up, generators warmed up, we need to take a look right here. We need to make sure that we have our green light from our power from our generator. And now what we're going to do is we're going to transfer from shore power to generator. So as much as you want to just run the generator and go, okay, everything's good, you need to put a load on the generator to make sure everything's okay. So, well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn off all our air conditionings. Okay, so bridge, aft, we're going to turn off our water heater, our forward air, our salon air, and then we're going to turn off our pump relay. And make sure our washer and dryer is off. Make sure we're not using anything that's a tremendous draw, like we're not using the microwave. It can stay on, but we're not using the microwave. We're not using anything with the draw. Once we shut all that down, then we take our shore power switch and turn it off. Obviously you saw some of the lights go out. So then we're going to slide over to the generator and we're going to turn our generator switch on. Our lights came back up. We've got our load on our generator. Now we're going to turn our air conditioning back on. But the first thing you want to do before you turn your air conditionings back on is you want to put the relay on. Count to 10 before you turn on any of your air conditionings. Okay, so just start one at a time. Put our forward air conditioning on, our salon air conditioning on, our aft air conditioning on, and our bridge air conditioning on. Typically, I'll leave the water heater off because if we're using generator, we're either out, we're running, we don't necessarily need the water heater. If we were to lose power here, then we would turn the water heater on, but no reason to put that draw on the generator at this point in time because we're just sitting at the dock at this point in time. This is just the test. So we've got our air conditioning on, we've got everything on that we need to be on. We're switched over to generator power. We see the draw, we see that we're getting 240 volts out of the generator, and now we can go ahead and leave that. Now, whatever you do, do not touch your master ignition switches while the boat is running. That is very, very, very important. Do not turn those keys. Do not touch those keys. Just leave everything just like it is in the run position until you turn everything off from up top. Let's go up top. Now that we have everything warmed up, now we're going to use the transmissions. We're going to put the boat forward and in reverse. And we're going to get some water going through the triplet shafts. We're going to make sure everything we're okay with the transmission wise. You do not want to do any of this at your dock and anything more than idle. We're tied up pretty tight here, so we're going to hit some port and starboard, forward and reverse. So that the boat is going to shake around a little bit, but We're going to make sure that everything's good, nothing's seized up, locked up, and let's get to it. Okay, we're going to do port forward, fill the boat. We're going to do port reverse. We're going to starboard forward. We're going to do starboard reverse. Let the boat settle a little bit. Feel the boat rocking around. Let's let it settle for a second or two. But again, we're going to do port forward. We're going to do port reverse. We're going to do starboard forward. We're going to do starboard reverse. Now, this is the most important thing that we can do right now. We need to make sure that these are in neutral. We do not touch these. We're going to bring the RPMs up on the engine using throttle only. We do not want to touch the transmissions. We're going to bring them up to about 1250 RPMs and get the temperatures up on these engines. Take a look. See, we're pushing right now. We're at port side. We're at 600. We're going to bring that one up to 1250. Close to 1250 as you can, and then we're going to bring the starboard up to 1250. Now you're going to feel the boat start rocking a little bit because now we're pushing a lot of the water out from underneath the boat. Okay. And we're now going to leave this here for 2-3 minutes. We're going to let this, and then what you're going to do is you're going to see your temperatures come up to from the mid 150s up to the mid 160s. Oil pressure is probably going to come down a little bit, because the oil is going to start getting a little bit warmer. And then once we're done with that, and once we start seeing these temperature drums up, then we're going to start shutting everything down. One of the things that is really important in your monthly maintenance is your air conditioning filters. We move around a lot. We have carpet, it creates a lot of dust. We have towels that we use for the showers. They all create a lot of dust. The air conditioning suction is very strong in marine air conditioning. So they get that, a lot of dust gets sucked into those air filters. If we don't clean the air filters and they get clogged, you're going to end up with iced up coils. Now, we've already done the air conditioning that's in the salon, which is right over behind that wall over there. We are going to be replacing that one. So today we're going to do the forward and we're going to do the aft. Okay, so our forward air conditioning happens to be under the mattress of this bed. So it's pretty simple to do, but you're definitely going to want to have an extra hand. So what we're going to do, and how I've started to do it, is we lift up the mattress and we take the panel off that goes to the air conditioner. And then I take this panel and I stick it right up against the edge of the bed. Now, I only need to get my head in there. Yes, it's tight, but I only need to get my head in there. Now, you always want to have a flashlight, which I have right here. Okay. And we're going to get down in here. Now this air conditioning in here is a brand new Dometic. If you take a look at it, it's got the titanium coils. Works fantastic. They're great products. Buried in there, quiet. We sleep in here every night, and that runs. So we're going to do a quick air conditioning filter check. If it's clean, we're going to leave it. If it's not clean, we're going to clean it in the sink. So here we go. Sticking my hand in here. The air conditioning filter is right here. It's very simple to get at. And we're just going to lift it right up. It's not too bad, but we're going to take it out and we're going to clean that off right now. Now that we have a nice clean filter, all we got to do is slide it back down into the little hole here. We take the filter, drop it between, there's two little channels right here on the side. We drop it right into those channels and we're good to go. Just once over inspection down here. It does get a little dusty in here. Sometimes we'll take a vacuum it up in here, but everything looks good in here. No corrosion, no water leaking, which is exactly what we want to see. Okay, now to the next one. Okay, so our other air conditioning unit, the aft air conditioning unit, is underneath this mattress. It's very easy to get to. We just lift up the mattress. It's right here in the middle. And if you can hear it, you can hear it running now. And again, this is also a brand new Dometic air conditioning unit. Titanium coils, just like the other one. This one's a little bit newer. It's a little bit interesting because this is using that new 422A Freon. It's a GTX8. So they went from the DTU X's to the GTX8, and this is using now the new 422 Freon. Great unit as well. Works very, very well. You can see very little water in the pan. Doesn't really sweat very much. And then again, here we go. There's the filter right there. We're going to pull this filter out real quick. And we're going to see how clean and dirty it is. This one happens to be, it's not too bad. We're going to clean this up real quick in the sink and then dry it up, and then we'll put it back in. Now that we've got the filters nice and clean, all we're going to do is just slide the filter right back into the little rails over here. And sometimes it looks easier than it actually is. And we're going to put this in here, slide it right down to the bottom, and there we go. So air conditioning in good shape. We don't have any leaks. A little bit of condensation in there. We're good. Everything looks good shape. Air conditioning will last for a long time. We did the vinegar in the drains, and if you take a look in the sump there, you'll see you got soap scum, you got a little chunky stuff there, you know, as you're cleaning your dishes from what you're cooking, all goes down into the sump. So you could see that right there. So that's obviously what clogs up the bilge pump over there. So the last thing we do, and if you leave these go for a long time and you're absentee, you're away for a month or 2 months from the boat, this is really important because you're going to come back into a stink of stinks and you're going to go, oh, that's a head stink or that's a this thing. The sump stinks. It gets really, really, really stinky. I mean, beyond stinky. So you need to definitely take care of this sump. So the last thing we're going to do here in the cabin today, we've already done our air conditioning filters. We've cleaned out our drains. The last thing we're going to do here today, we have bucket head from Home Depot. We got our Home Depot bucket and we're plugged in, and all we're going to do is we're going to suck out some of the junk that's in the bottom of that sump right there, and then we're going to call it a day on the inside of the boat. So now you see down there we got pretty much, the sump is pretty clean. Now, as we've said in previous videos, we live on this boat, so we push a lot of water and a lot of stuff through that sump. And we put vinegar in the sump once a month and everything. And I gotta tell you, we just sucked that out and it stinks. So I couldn't imagine leaving that in there for 2, 3, 4, 5 months. The stink would just be unbelievable. So please clean out your sumps if you want a fresh smelling boat. So we're all done with this project right now. We're gonna take the vacuum out of here. We're gonna put the lid back on and we're gonna call it a day in the inside of the boat. We are finished with our monthly maintenance on the inside. There we go, the lid's back on and we're all cleaned out in there. Now we'll put the stuff that we store back in there down there and we'll come back in a month from now. Okay, now that the engine room's cooled down a little bit, we're going to take a look down. We need to check our rate cores again. Rate cores are clean. Generator rate core is good. Port side engine, clean. So one thing that I like to do is go under the engine with a flashlight and make sure that we don't have any water, fluids, or anything dripping down there. Obviously you can see by this that the engine is clean underneath there. That is the starboard side engine. Let's go over to the port side engine. Take a second to get down here. And we get down in here. And we look down in there. Again, here we go. We don't have any fluids in here. Okay. And then one of the nice other things being that we have these strainers on here. We take a flashlight, go into the strainer. You can see the strainer is clean. Okay. That's starboard side, port side, strainer is clean. Generator, strainer is clean. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the front off the generator right there. We're going to check the oils. We already see that the antifreeze is good. The coolant, shall I say, is good. We're going to take that off and check the oil. And then we're going to check the oil in the 2 mains. Okay, so what we're going to do is we take these 2 black locks right here and we turn them. And we're just going to pull the generator cover off and slide it over to the side. Okay, and now we see here's our generator right in here. Okay, we're going to make sure, inspect the same thing, make sure we don't have any fluids on the bottom, and make sure that we don't have any oil or anything on any pads. And then we're going to grab our oil dipstick right here and we're going to pull it out and wipe it off real quick. Put it back in. Okay, sometimes it's a little hard to get in here. All right, and then we'll grab it out and we'll check our oils and make sure our oil is right on the money. Okay, and if you take a look at that oil, you'll see how clean that oil is. That is really nice looking oil right there. You don't see it's not black, it's nice and golden. It's fresh oil in there. And we are good to go in the generator. Okay, now we could just put the top back on. Sometimes it's a little tough to get this on. We have the hydraulic pump for the lift right here in front of us. So sometimes we gotta wiggle it, get it in there. Sometimes you gotta hit it with your fist. But eventually it'll go in. And we're going to push up against this, turn that, and the generator's checked. We're good to go. Now we're gonna check the oil in the mains. We're on the port side over here. I'm gonna go down into the dipstick right here. Gonna turn it to the left and then pull it out. Okay, we'll wipe it off. And then we're gonna drop it back into there. Turn it to the right, turn it to the left, and pull it out, and let's check our levels. Levels are good. It's a little down, it's a little bit, but we're okay. Engine oil is pretty hot, but if you take a look at that oil, again, not black, nice and golden oil. Port side is good, we're in range. Maybe next time we add a little oil to it. And now we're gonna put this back in here, and then we're gonna slide over to the starboard side, which is right here. I'm going to grab this dipstick. I'm going to turn it to the left, pull it out, again, wipe it off, back in, turn it to the right, turn it to the left, and then take a look at that. And again, golden, within range, we are good here as well. Okay, there's our engine oil check. Our transmission oil we don't need to do. We haven't used the boat really very much. It was really just engine oil. We know that our coolants are full. We have no water leaks. We are golden down here and ready for the next month to do either take the boat out, or next month we'll do another monthly maintenance. Please. Well, that's the end of our monthly maintenance. Please subscribe. Please leave us a comment and catch us next time on Anchors Up Key West.